What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I hope you like this video. This is Queen Sugar Season 5, Episode 7. So we open this episode up. We see Charlie having a nightmare or sleeping and going through in her mind all of the things that are really on her plate. You know, her and Micah's relationship, Black Lives Matter, her being a council member, dealing with the land situation, the town being mad at her, balancing her family dynamic. And she wakes up and she's got tension in her neck and she's really, really stressed out about it. We see that Blue's test results have come back and he is a genius. I mean, they're recommending that this little boy take calculus, okay? And, of course, Darla is like, well, no wonder he is running through, all of the different things that, all of the work that we keep giving him. I mean, obviously he knows all this stuff already, and it's boring for him, So, then we have Ava and Hollywood. Listen, Hollywood is dealing with everything he's dealing with. He's dealing with grief. He's dealing with Black Lives Matter. George Floyd. He's dealing with all of the burdens that's on his head, and he's turning into a jerk. I mean, simply put, he's drinking first thing in the morning. He's being snippy and a little nasty to Vi, and Vi understands, but not really sure what to do about it. Like, I get it. I understand what's going on here. Just not quite sure what I need to do. Nova is getting ready for a children's march, very much in the style of the children's march that took place in Birmingham, Alabama, back in the the mid 60s. And so she's working on getting that together and, excited, got everybody excited about that. And so that's where everybody sort of is at this point. This episode is June 1st. So, we're about 4 months into COVID at this time, and people are really, really realizing what the situation is. So what I mean by that is, like, we know it wasn't going to be no 2-week, 3-week situation now. Micah and Charlie are talking, and Micah tells Charlie that he needs to do more. He feels like he's not doing enough. He feels like he's not doing doing as much as he could do. And he really, really needs to do more. And so he decides that he's going to go to Minneapolis and he's going to chronicle his trip and document his trip. And of course, Charlie, immediately gets, nervous and afraid. And she doesn't say anything. And Micah says to her, he said, well, I'm not asking your permission. I'm just telling you, and I would like to know how you feel about it. And so, of course, she doesn't want him to go. But what are you going to say? Now, y'all know how I've been feeling about this whole I'm grown thing. I'm not saying necessarily in this situation it's because he's so grown, but I get where he's coming from with the cause. A lot of people, especially young people this summer, felt that way. What more can I do? This is not enough. And so from an activist point of view, I get it. Not so much from a I'm grown point of view, because I still don't think he's grown. But Nova does say something later on in the episode when Nova is talking to Charlie, and Nova says, listen, Charlie is like, he's only 19, like he's still young. She said, yeah, but, and then she started naming all of these activists, John Lewis, Ella Baker, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. She said a lot of times we reflect back on history and we feel like these people were old men, and they really weren't. I mean, these were, when you look at SNCC, these were college students who, a lot of them dropped out of college or got expelled. Some of them actually got put out of college for their activism. A lot of them ended up getting posthumous degrees later on after, of course, people were like, well, that was messed up that they got put out of school because they were protesting and they were, participating in the civil rights movement. So, Nova, and I think that put it in perspective for me. And I think it put it in perspective a little bit for Charlie. And of course, Charlie's thing is, yeah, I mean, that's great and that's all well and good. But now while she's having this conversation with Nova, we see her rubbing her legs down with, some ointment, and we see, a medicine bottle. So we could tell that something is going on with Charlie. I mean, she's feeling tension and all that. Something's going on with Charlie. So Nova is letting Charlie know that in her house, things have been a little tense. She said I've been a little extra, with the boyfriend and with his daughter, and I feel like now's the time for us to have these hard conversations. I'm trying not to be nasty, but at the same time, I can't be polite about it. Like, this is what's going on in our world, and these are the conversations we need to have. We got to have these hard conversations. And she also says, the daughter's going back, so we're going to drive down to Houston, and I'm going to fly back, and he's going to. But anyway, so they're she's like asking them, what do they want, for dinner. They sit there watching a game that an old rerun, a game they already seen before, because of course, remember, nothing new then went down, on no sports was going on back in June, right? So he's feeling some kind of way, and she asked him what they want to eat, and both of them said, hey, whatever you cook is fine. And Vi started talking about how she got off the phone with Darla, and Darla was exposing Blue to some stuff that she just didn't think Blue was ready for. And Hollywood sort of snapped at her and was like, oh, so is this the part where, he was like, so she told you to mind your business, right? And then Vi was like, I mean, she said it a little bit nicer than that, but pretty much. He was like, well, Baby Prosper saw what was going on. He read the room. He was like, excuse me. And he got up out of there like, I'm going to let y'all handle this. And so they end up getting into a little argument. And he tells her, he was like, listen, if this is the part where I'm supposed to comfort you and make you feel okay and tell you that it's all right, that you love hard and people just got to understand how you love and all that. He was like, I just ain't got it in me today. I can't do it. I ain't got it today. And she was like, okay, but I mean, I'm not saying I need all of that, but you really doing a lot right now, and I'm gonna need you to get it together. And he was like, listen, Vi, all I want to do is watch the game. A game that I already know the ending to, just so that I can get a little bit of peace where I ain't worried about my mama dying, George Floyd dying. Like, I just need a moment. Like, I just need it. And so she ends up walking away and, I guess understanding it, but not really understanding it. So, Nova and the family are on their way on their road trip, and the daughter is trying to say some positive things to Nova, and again, she's like, I'm sorry about the march being canceled. She said, but maybe in hindsight, it was sort of for the better. Maybe that's just a bit much for the kids to handle right now. And of course, Nova says, yeah, maybe you're right. But of course, she don't feel that way. Like, she's upset that the march was canceled. And again, we all feel like it wasn't canceled for the right reasons. So they go to have, they stop at a gas station. And her and Nova end up having a good conversation where she was just like, the daughter was like, listen, I left school really feeling sure about myself, feeling like I understood and I was empathizing and I was being a good ally. But I'm going back to school feeling lost and feeling like I just don't know. I didn't know what I thought I knew. I'm not confident about anything I thought I understood. And Nova was like, good. You should never feel complacent. You should never feel like you've got all the answers and you understand everything, because you just never will. She said, but your intentions are good. Your mind, your heart is good, and so that was sort of the moment they needed to have, because she said, I just feel like everything I say to you was wrong. I just feel like, I'm just unsure. But they had the moment, and again, I wasn't liking her and I wasn't trusting her the whole time, but that part made sense. She thought that she was this perfect ally to the Black community, and she had it all figured out, and she was so excited to meet Nova because she was this great, revolutionary, and she probably really thought that she was bringing something to the table, and she got her feelings hurt real fast. It was probably accelerated a little bit because of the whole Black Lives Matter thing, but still. Now Charlie, thanks to Micah, has found the original charter for for their parish and St. Francis, and found out that when a state of emergency is declared, then all projects that are currently going on are put on hold for at least 2 years. So basically, they have been able to, that they're going to be able to stop the road and stop that whole situation going on for at least 2 years, which is probably how they're going to explain, because we know that her and, Steen, ain't going to be able to have a showdown and all of that. Now, while she's having this conversation with somebody on the phone, she's having these pains. Like, she's bent over, she's in pain. She goes to call Nova. She remembers Nova's out of town. She goes to call Aunt Vi. She recalls her conversation with Aunt Vi, where she just got a lot going on, trying to handle, everything with Hollywood. She calls Ralph Angel. He doesn't pick up the phone. And so she's just really sitting there like in a lot of pain, really trying to figure it all out. How in the world am I going to do this? And really trying to, get all of the answers. Why in the world? Okay. So, then we have this great montage. We see Ralph Angel call Hollywood, and he's explaining to Hollywood what happened with the cop the day before and how scared he was and how scared Blue was. And he was like, why can't he just be a kid? Why can't they just let him be a kid? And Ralph Angel breaks down and he's crying, and Hollywood is telling him, just let it out, just let it out. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you let it out, Hollywood. That's what you need to do. Just let it out. So we see him go and talk to Mr. Prosper, and he apologizes to Mr. Prosper for the little spat, that he had with Vi in front of him. And he said, listen, it's all good. He said, but if she ain't happy, you ain't going to be happy. So y'all need to figure it out. He was like, I know. And as he's sitting there listening to Prosper talk, he starts flashing back on him and Vi's wedding and all of the good times. He starts flashing back on all of the good times with Aunt Vi. Then we see Nova come home, and we see her flashing back on all of the good times that she had with the cop, all the things they've been through, and I guess revisiting why they even still love each other, why they still doing this with each other. Then we see Ralph Angel going through the same thing with Blue, thinking about flashing back on all of, through the years with Blue and all the things that they've been through and him as the father. And again, going through these different relationships and valuing them and recognizing them and realizing where the love really is and how they got to find their way back to each other. Then we end up seeing Charlie on the couch. She is in pain. She is in tears, doesn't have anybody else to call. And she ends up making this phone call saying, I need you, please. I need your help. I'm in trouble. And who is it? Davis. Now, I felt like we were working up to something with Davis because they keep bringing his name up. We done seen him at least once this season. And we got their whole origin story. But we went back to the love. How, the love of the relationship, the good times in the relationship. I said, okay, here come Davis. Now we're going to see how this work out. Anyway, that was it. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.